14 hours. That's how long I lay on my kitchen floor with a shattered hip, calling my only son 43 times. 43 times hearing, "The number you have dialed has blocked your calls." I wasn't dying from the fall. I was already dead to him. The $2.8 million he didn't know I had, that was about to change everything. But let me rewind 6 months. Picture this. I'm standing in my son's kitchen, the kitchen in the $2.4 million Westchester house I helped buy, making my famous apple pie for his wife Victoria's book club. Through the swinging door, I hear her voice, pitched perfectly to Carrie. "Stephen's mother is basically our personal ATM. Insert guilt, withdraw cash." The laughter that felt like knives in my back. 12 successful women sipping wine I probably paid for, reducing my entire existence to a transaction. Does she still give you money at her age? Oh, honey, what else does she have to live for? We're doing her a favor, giving her purpose. I stood there, flour on my hands, remembering the night shifts I worked to put Stephen through Cornell, the retirement fund I emptied for his law firm, my grandmother's ring I pawned for his asthma treatments, all reduced to a punchline for women who married their money instead of earning it. That was the day I started planning their financial funeral. Now back to hour 1 on that kitchen floor. February 15th, 7:23 a.m. I'd reached for the oatmeal on the top shelf where Victoria had reorganized it during her last visit. "You need to be more efficient, Dorothy," she'd said. The step stool wobbled. I fell. The crack of my hip breaking sounded like my heart had years ago. Sudden, shocking, final. Hour 5. I dragged myself close enough to reach my phone. "Stephen," I whispered to his contact photo, him at Harvard Law graduation, wearing the suit I'd bought him. "Please, baby. Mommy needs help. The number you have dialed has blocked your calls." Hour 10. I was hallucinating. Robert, my husband, dead 15 years, sat at our kitchen table. "You gave them everything, Dot," he said sadly, "even things that weren't yours to give. I wanted to be a good mother." "You were. They weren't good children." Hour 14. Helen Rodriguez, my neighbor, found me. Dear Helen, with her spare key and her nosiness, it saved my life. "Dorothy, oh God, how long?" "Tuesday," I croaked. "Since Tuesday morning." At Mount Sinai Hospital, between the morphine and the surgery prep, the young EMT kept trying my emergency contact. "Ma'am, Stephen Miller isn't answering. The number seems disconnected." "Not disconnected," I said clearly, fighting through the pain. "Blocked. There's a difference. Document that in your report." The social worker who visited post-surgery had kind eyes. "Mrs. Miller, this is concerning. Your son blocked your number. You could have died." "I did die," I told her. 6 months ago in his kitchen. Today was just the physical burial. "Do you have anyone else?" I smiled, feeling something shift inside me. Not my titanium hip, but something deeper. "Yes. Call Eleanor Walsh, my attorney. Tell her Dorothy Miller is ready. Tell her it's time to close all accounts." The social worker looked confused but made the call. She didn't know Eleanor had been waiting for this call for 6 months. Ever since the day I overheard Victoria's ATM comment and decided that if I was going to be treated like a machine, I'd better start acting like one. And machines, they can be reprogrammed.
Eleanor Walsh arrived at my hospital bedside looking like vengeance in a St. John's suit. She set her briefcase down with the satisfaction of a poker player holding a royal flush. "Dorothy, before we review your assets, there's something you need to see." She pulled out her phone, swiping to a screenshot. "Your granddaughter Emma accidentally included you in the family group text last month. I've been monitoring." The messages blurred through my morphine haze, but each one burned clear. Stephen, mom's coming for dinner. Hide the good wine. Victoria, ATM alert, grandma incoming. Jason, whose turn to babysit the fossil? Stephen, once she's in a home, we sell her apartment. Easy $650K split. Victoria, the Medicare lawyer said if we prove dementia, we get power of attorney faster. My hands shook, not from pain, but from rage. How long? 3 years of messages. It gets worse. Eleanor swiped again. This is from last week. Stephen, Michelle wants to know when we can go public. I told her once mom's sorted, we're free. Michelle? My voice cracked. I'm sorry, Dorothy. Stephen's been having an affair for 2 years. She's 28, a paralegal at his firm. Eleanor's jaw tightened. He's been telling her she's in your will, that once you're gone, they'll have enough to start fresh. The heart monitor beside my bed spiked. A nurse rushed in, but I waved her away. I'm fine. Just processing some family news. Eleanor waited until we were alone again. Now, let's discuss what they don't know, your actual net worth. She spread papers across my hospital tray. First, the money you gave them over the years. 1983, grandmother's ring, $12,000. 1998 to 2001, night shifts for Cornell, $127,000. 2005, retirement withdrawal for law firm, $180,000 plus $58,000 in penalties. 2010, mortgage on your apartment, $350,000. 2011 to 2023, various loans never repaid, $245,000. Total gifted, $972,000. Total repaid, $0. Almost $1 million, I whispered, and they blocked my number. Here's what they don't know, Eleanor smiled, pulling out another folder. Robert's life insurance policy. You never touched it. $500,000, I said quietly. With compound interest over 15 years, try $1.1 million. Add your savings, the apartment equity, and, she paused for effect, the fact that you're still on the deed to their house and own 51% of Miller & Associates, per the loan document Stephen drafted himself. She calculated quickly. Total assets, $2.8 million. I stared at the ceiling, remembering Stephen at 5, asthma attack at 2 a.m., whispering, Mommy, I can't breathe. I'd held him upright all night, breathing with him, willing my breath into his lungs. Now he'd blocked my calls while I couldn't breathe on my kitchen floor. There's more, Eleanor said gently. Helen did some investigating. The house renovation Victoria posted on Instagram about, they're underwater. Borrowed against the house, maxed out credit cards, Stephen's law firm is hemorrhaging clients, they're 3 months behind on Jason's Columbia tuition.
How fitting, I said. They're drowning and I'm their life raft. Were, Eleanor corrected, were their life raft. Now, let's discuss Operation Reality Check. Operation Reality Check? You're going to get worse before you get better. Medically speaking. She winked. When Stephen finally realizes you're in the hospital, and he will once bills need paying, you'll be too confused to sign anything alone. Everything will need to go through me. He'll bring power of attorney papers, I predicted. Oh, I'm counting on it. And you'll sign them. Right after you sign everything else I'll have ready. He won't read the fine print. Arrogant people never do. I thought about Victoria laughing at her book club, about Stephen telling his mistress about my money, about 43 blocked calls while I lay dying. Eleanor, I said, feeling stronger than I had in years despite the morphine drip, I want you to prepare 3 things. A new will, leaving everything to the Second Wind Foundation for abandoned elderly women, a partition sale for the Westchester house, and activation of my ownership stake in his law firm. With pleasure. Anything else? I smiled, remembering something Robert used to say. Revenge is a dish best served with proper documentation. Yes, document everything. Every text, every blocked call, every cruel word. Because when this is over, I want them to know exactly why their ATM is permanently out of service. Eleanor squeezed my hand. Dorothy Miller, I do believe you're about to become my favorite client. No, I'm about to become my own favorite person. It only took 70 years and a broken hip to get here. The nurse came to check my vitals. Mrs. Miller, your blood pressure is perfect, better than when you arrived. Of course it was. For the first time in decades, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. 3 days later, Stephen finally discovered I existed. Not because he cared, but because American Express called him about my card being declined at the hospital pharmacy. I watched from my bed as he burst through the door, designer suit wrinkled, face twisted with inconvenience rather than concern. Mom, what the hell? Why didn't anyone call me? I had to hear from a credit card company that you're in the hospital? Hello, Stephen. I tried calling 43 times. He had the audacity to look confused. I've been busy. Big case. You know how it is. No, I said softly. I don't know how it is to block your mother's number. His face went through several expressions. Surprise, guilt, then settling on irritation. Look, Victoria did that. She said you were calling too much about trivial things. Trivial? I repeated. Like dying on my kitchen floor. Don't be dramatic. You're fine now. He pulled out his phone, already distracted. Listen, we need to sort out your finances. This confusion with the cards, your bills. Victoria thinks it's time we helped manage things. Perfect. Eleanor had coached me for this moment. I let my eyes go slightly unfocused. I don't know. Everything's so confusing lately. The fall, the pain medication.
Stephen perked up like a shark scenting blood. Exactly. That's why you need help. I brought some papers. Mr. Miller? Eleanor Walsh entered with theatrical timing. I'm Mrs. Miller's attorney. She called me as her emergency contact since you were unavailable. Stephen's jaw tightened. She doesn't need a lawyer. I'm her son. A son who blocked her number, Eleanor said pleasantly. A son she couldn't reach during a medical emergency. The hospital documented 43 attempted calls. Adult Protective Services found that very interesting. Are you threatening me? Simply stating facts. Now, your mother has asked me to review any documents before she signs them, given her current state. I clutched Stephen's hand with calculated desperation. I want to sign whatever helps you, sweetheart, but Ms. Walsh says I need to be careful. I'm so confused. Stephen forced a smile. Of course, Mom. We just want what's best for you. He pulled out a folder, just some simple power of attorney forms for your protection. Eleanor took the papers, scanning them with predatory efficiency. Comprehensive financial and medical power of attorney, immediate activation. Interesting. She pulled out her own folder. Dorothy, if you're signing these, we should update everything. Here's the Heritage Trust paperwork we discussed, the healthcare directives, and the property transfer documents. Property transfer? Stephen's voice pitched higher. Oh yes, Eleanor said innocently. Your mother wants to simplify her assets, reduce confusion. The Westchester house, for instance, such a burden being on that deed. We're transferring her portion to a trust. Stephen went pale. She can't do that. I mean, that's our home. Actually, Eleanor smiled, it's 50% her home. Has been for 13 years. Dorothy, shall we sign everything together? Make it simple. I nodded weakly. Whatever you think is best. I trust you both. Stephen watched, trapped, as I signed document after document. His power of attorney, granting him control over an estate that would no longer exist by tomorrow. My Heritage Trust, moving all assets into an irrevocable foundation. The property transfer, initiating a partition sale of his house. There, Eleanor gathered the papers. Everything will be filed this afternoon. Stephen, your power of attorney activates in 48 hours, though I should mention there won't be much to manage by then. What do you mean? I let my eyes flutter closed. So tired. Maybe you should go. Visit tomorrow? Stephen leaned over, his cologne, Tom Ford, $400 a bottle, suffocating. Mom, what did you just sign? Protection, just like you wanted. I'm protected now. He left, documents in hand, thinking he'd won. He didn't know that every paper he'd made me sign included a little surprise from Eleanor. Clauses that activated my ownership of his firm, accelerated the house sale, and froze all accounts pending estate reorganization. How'd I do? I asked Eleanor once he was gone. Academy Award worthy. He'll realize what happened in about 6 hours when the banks call. Good, I said, no longer weak, no longer confused. He blocked me for 6 months. 6 hours of panic seems fair? Eleanor laughed. Dorothy Miller, remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late for Stephen to learn that lesson, but it's never too late to teach it.
The conference room at Walsh & Associates felt like a courtroom. Stephen and Victoria sat across from me, their lawyers sweating despite the air conditioning. They've arrived expecting to discuss my deteriorating mental state. Instead, they found me in a new Chanel suit, mentally sharp as the documents Eleanor was sliding across the table. What the hell is this? Stephen's voice cracked as he read. Partition sale? Ownership activation? Mom, what did you do? I closed my account, the one you treated like an ATM. Victoria snatched the papers. This is fraudulent. She has dementia. The fall... Eleanor interrupted smoothly. Dr. Martinez, chief of neurology at Mount Sinai, evaluated Dorothy yesterday. Cognitive function, superior. In fact, she smiled, he noted her strategic thinking was remarkable for any age. You tricked me. Stephen slammed his fist on the table. Those papers I signed were exactly what you wanted. Power of attorney over Dorothy's estate. Eleanor pulled out his signed documents. Of course, by the time it activated, Dorothy had already transferred her assets to the Second Wind Foundation. You now have complete control over nothing. I watched my son's face cycle through emotions. Rage, disbelief, then the one I'd been waiting for. Fear. The house, Victoria whispered. We can't lose the house. You have 30 days to buy out Dorothy's half at market value, $1.2 million, or it goes to auction. We don't have... Victoria caught herself. This is extortion. No, extortion is telling your book club I'm your personal ATM. Extortion is planning to put me in a home to steal my apartment. Extortion is blocking my number and leaving me to die. I didn't know you'd fall, Stephen exploded. But you knew I was 70, alone, with health issues. Tell me, Stephen, when did I stop being your mother and become your bank account? Silence. Was it when I gave you $180,000 for your firm? When I mortgaged my home for yours? Or was it earlier, when you realized I'd give you anything, so I became worth nothing? Mom, please. Don't. My voice was steel. You had 43 chances to answer my call. You chose Michelle instead. Victoria gasped. Stephen went white. Oh, yes. I know about your paralegal girlfriend, the one you promised my money to. Tell me, does she know you're broke? That without my ATM services, you can't even pay your credit cards? You vindictive... Careful, Eleanor warned. Defamation is expensive, and you can't afford it. Stephen looked broken. Mom, we have children. Jason's tuition is no longer my problem. I stood, leaning on my cane. You know what is my problem? The 97 elderly women who've contacted the Second Wind Foundation this week. Women whose children blocked them, abandoned them, stole from them. They're my family now. I'm your family, Stephen shouted. I'm your son. No. You're a 48-year-old man who laughed while his wife called me an ATM, who planned to lock me away for my money, who valued my bank account over my heartbeat.
I moved toward the door, then turned back. You want to know the ironic part? All I wanted was a phone call, a visit without a price tag. It would have cost you nothing and gained you everything. $2.8 million worth of everything. Mom, wait. Stephen's voice cracked. Before I cooked while you calculated my worth, before I gave while you crabbed, there is no before. There's only after. And after? I'm not your mother. I'm Dorothy Miller, philanthropist. You're a blocked number. Victoria grabbed Stephen's arm. Do something, beg! But I was already at the door. Eleanor will handle the house sale. You have 30 days. Oh, and Stephen, your firm's biggest client, Morrison Industries. Mr. Morrison was Robert's golf buddy. He's transferring his business to Eleanor's firm. Seems he doesn't like lawyers who abandon their mothers. The last thing I heard before the door closed was Victoria screaming, "This is all your fault! Your mother!" No, I whispered to myself in the elevator. Not his mother. Not anymore. The security guard nodded as I passed. Have a good day, Miss Miller. The best day. The first day of the rest of my life. And this time, I'm living it for me. Eleanor caught up in the lobby. Morrison Industries wasn't really Robert's. He is now. I called him yesterday. Turns out he doesn't like men who block their mothers either, especially when those mothers donated $50,000 to his wife's cancer foundation last year. Dorothy Miller, Eleanor laughed. You're dangerous. No, I corrected. I'm done. There's a difference. The universe has a sense of humor, or maybe it just appreciates good timing. Week 1, Stephen called Eleanor 17 times. Tell Mom I'll pay rent to stay in the house. Rent. To stay in a house I helped buy. Eleanor didn't bother telling me until it became amusing. Week 2, Victoria's Instagram went from blessed life in Westchester to silence. Then Emma texted me, Mom's selling her Birkin bags on Poshmark. Dad's sleeping in his office because they fight all night. I was having lunch at the plaza with Helen when that text came through. Should I feel guilty? I asked. Helen snorted into her champagne. Did they feel guilty when you were dying on your kitchen floor? Week 3, the real dominoes started falling. Jason called. First time in 2 years without wanting money. Grandma, I didn't know. About Dad blocking you, about what Mom said. I found the group texts. His voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What do you want, Jason? Nothing. I mean, Columbia expelled me. Not for grades, but for unpaid tuition. Dad said you refused to pay, but that's not true, is it? No, honey. Your parents refused to let me exist unless they needed money. There's a difference. Silence. Then I'm getting a job. 2 jobs. I'll finish at community college. Grandma, when I graduate, when I've earned it myself, would you come?
Call me next month, I said. If you're still working, we'll talk. Week 4. The house listing went live. $1.9 million. They needed a quick sale. The realtor was Marjorie Chen, whose mother attended my water aerobics class. Dorothy, honey, Mrs. Chen whispered during class, my Marjorie says your son is difficult, demanding she hide the foreclosure notice, staging furniture he can't afford. That wife threw a Waterford vase at her. Tell Marjorie danger pay is included in her commission, I said, floating on my back, finally learning to breathe again. Week 6. Eleanor called with updates that felt like Christmas morning. Stephen's down to 3 clients. The mistress dumped him when she realized there was no inheritance coming. Victoria filed for separation. Apparently, she's moving back with her parents. The parents who only support successful children? The very same. Oh, in the house? Multiple offers, all under asking. Week 8. Emma met me for coffee. Just us. No agenda, no requests, just conversation. I got a job, she said proudly. Starbucks, opening shift, and I'm tutoring high school math in the evenings. How's school? I'm taking a gap year, working, saving. Dad said I should sue you for my trust fund, but she met my eyes. I told him to fuck off. Sorry, I told him to go away. I laughed, really laughed. Good for you. Grandma, that night you fell, I was in the group chat. I saw Dad joke about your calls being spam. I should have said something, should have checked on you. You were 18, Emma. He was 48. Who had more responsibility? She wiped her eyes. I'm going to earn my trust fund, every penny. And when I'm 30, when I get it, I want to use it to start something good, like your foundation. That afternoon, I updated Eleanor. Add Emma back to the will. Not the trust, the will. When I'm gone, she gets enough to matter, but not enough to corrupt. And Stephen? I thought about my son, the boy who'd clung to me during asthma attacks, the man who'd blocked me during a heart attack of a different kind. I decided Stephen gets what he gave me for 6 months. Silence. That night, I stood on my new apartment's balcony, looking over Central Park. My phone buzzed. Jason, sending a photo of his pay stub from Target. First week done, 39 hours. It's harder than I thought, but I'm doing it. I smiled and texted back, proud of you. Because here's what Stephen never understood. Money wasn't what I wanted to give my grandchildren. It was the chance to earn their own worth, and the knowledge that their grandmother, not their ATM, but their grandmother, would be there to witness it. My phone rang. Unknown number. Dorothy? Stephen's voice broken and strange. I'm calling from Victoria's phone. Please don't hang up. I almost laughed. After 43 blocked calls, he was begging me not to hang up. I have 30 seconds, I said. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I destroyed everything. My marriage, my firm, my family. Stop. I knew what came after I need. It always involved my checkbook. Stephen, you're sorry you lost, not sorry you left me to die. There's a difference. But I'm your son. Yes, I agreed. And that's the tragedy. Goodbye, Stephen. I hung up and blocked Victoria's number. Karma, as it turns out, has my new phone number, and she's not accepting calls from users anymore.
1 year later, I stood at the podium in the grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria. 500 women filled the room. Mothers, grandmothers, aunts who'd been treated like ATMs, not family. 14 hours on a floor taught me I am my own emergency contact. I began, my voice strong and clear. They called me an ATM. Turns out I was the whole damn bank. Applause thundered through the room. Let me share 5 truths that Broken Hip taught me. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. My son blocked my number. That wasn't a mistake. It was a message. Love without respect is just manipulation. They loved my money, not me. There's a difference. Your worth isn't measured by what you give. I gave $1.2 million and got blocked. Helen gave friendship and saved my life. It's never too late to choose yourself. At 70, I finally became the main character of my own story. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. Only those who respect you get the key. In the back, a familiar figure slipped in. Stephen, grayer, thinner, humbled. Our eyes met across the room. To every forgotten mother, you're not an ATM, you're the whole bank, and it's time to change your PIN. Standing ovation. Women crying, hugging, healing. After the speech, Stephen approached. Mom, I've changed.
So have I. I changed my will, my number, and my life. But family doesn't leave you to die on a kitchen floor. Forgiveness doesn't mean access, Stephen. I forgive you from a distance. Forever. I walked away, my emergency contact still reading Dorothy Miller, self. Because I'm the only one who answered when I called. If you're watching this with tears in your eyes, if your children only call when they need money, if you've been told, what else do you have to live for? You are not alone. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Are you someone's ATM? Have you been blocked by those you birthed? Are you ready to close that account? Type, I am my own emergency contact if you're ready to choose yourself. Share this with every woman who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of women who said enough. Hit the notification bell because your worth notification is overdue. Remember, they can block your number. They can't block your blessing. Your life is calling. This time, answer it.